The morning sun cast long shadows across Maple Street as Jake Martinez wiped his hands on an old rag. His small auto repair shop sat tucked between Mrs. Chun's bakery and the corner drugstore, a place where the smell of motor oil mixed with the sweet scent of fresh bread. It was the kind of neighborhood where people still waved to each other from their front porches and where a handshake meant something. Jake had opened his shop 3 years ago, after his wife Sarah passed away. Back then, 5-year-old Emma had been just a toddler who barely understood why Mommy wasn't coming home. Now, at 8 years old, she spent her afternoons in the shop, doing homework at the small desk Jake had set up in the corner office. Her blonde hair always seemed to catch whatever light filtered through the dusty windows, and her bright smile could melt the hardest heart. "Dad, can I help you with the blue car today?" Emma asked, looking up from her math workbook. She had been watching him work on Mrs. Peterson's sedan all week. "Maybe later, sweetheart," Jake replied, his voice carrying that gentle patience that comes from being both father and mother to a child. "I need to finish checking the engine first." The bell above the shop door chimed, and Jake looked up to see a woman he didn't recognize. She was tall and elegant, with long blonde hair that seemed to glow in the afternoon light. Her business suit suggested she worked in one of the office buildings downtown, but there was something tired in her green eyes, something that spoke of long days and heavy responsibilities. "Excuse me," she said, her voice soft but strained. "I'm having car trouble. I called around, but everyone else is booked for weeks. I know it's a long shot, but—" Jake set down his wrench and gave her his full attention. In his experience, people didn't just wander into auto shops unless they were truly desperate. "What seems to be the problem?" "It won't start," she said, running a hand through her hair. "The engine turns over, but it just won't catch. I've been trying for an hour." Jake glanced at his appointment book. He was technically booked solid for the next 2 weeks, but something in her expression reminded him of those first months after Sarah died, that look of someone trying to hold everything together while the world seemed determined to fall apart. "Let me take a look," he said. "No promises, but I might be able to fit you in." Relief flooded her face. "Thank you. I'm Rebecca Collins, by the way. I just moved to the neighborhood last month." "Jake Martinez," he replied, following her outside to where a silver Honda sat stubbornly silent at the curb. "And that's my daughter Emma inside." Rebecca glanced through the shop window and smiled at the little girl who was now watching them with undisguised curiosity. "She's beautiful." Jake popped the hood and immediately spotted the problem. The battery terminals were corroded and one of the cables had worked loose. It was a simple fix that would take maybe 10 minutes, but he could see that Rebecca had no idea how minor the issue was. "Well?" she asked, clearly bracing for bad news. "Good news," Jake said. "It's just the battery connection. Easy fix. I can have you running in 15 minutes. Rebecca's shoulders sagged with relief. "Thank God. How much will it cost?" Jake considered this. The repair was so simple he would normally charge maybe $20 for the service call. But looking at Rebecca, really looking at her, he could see the signs of someone stretching every dollar. Her suit was well tailored, but not new. Her purse was quality leather, but showed wear at the corners. Most telling of all, her hands shook slightly as she reached for her wallet. "No charge," he said quietly. Rebecca blinked. "I'm sorry." "No charge," Jake repeated. "It's a 5-minute fix. Consider it a welcome to the neighborhood gesture." For a moment, Rebecca looked like she might cry. "Are you sure? I can pay ... "I'm sure," Jake said, already reaching for his tools. "Why don't you wait inside where it's cool? Emma would probably love the company." Rebecca hesitated, then nodded. Jake watched her walk into the shop, noting how Emma immediately brightened and began chattering about her homework. There was something about the way they interacted natural and easy, like two people who had known each other forever instead of 2 minutes. As Jake cleaned the battery terminals and tightened the loose cable, he found himself glancing through the window. Rebecca had pulled up a chair next to Emma's desk and was helping her with a particularly tricky math problem. Emma was giggling at something Rebecca had said, and the sound made Jake's chest tight with an emotion he hadn't felt in years. "Dad!" Emma called out when he came back inside. Miss Rebecca knows how to do long division the fun way. The fun way? Jake asked, raising an eyebrow. Rebecca blushed slightly. I just showed her how to think of it as sharing cookies among friends instead of abstract numbers. That's clever, Jake said, and meant it. He had struggled with Emma's math homework more than once. Your car's all set? He added, handing Rebecca her keys. She stood up slowly as if reluctant to leave. Thank you, Jake, really, you don't know. What this means? New job? He guessed. Rebecca nodded. I'm a paralegal at Henderson & Associates downtown. I've been there 3 weeks, and I can't afford to be late again. Tough boss. Let's just say he doesn't believe in second chances, Rebecca said with a rueful smile. As she gathered her purse, Emma tugged on Jake's shirt. Dad, can I walk Miss Rebecca to her car? Of course, sweetheart. Jake watched through the window as Emma skipped alongside Rebecca, chattering away about school and her friends and her father's work. He saw Rebecca crouched down to Emma's level at the car, clearly giving the little girl her full attention. When Emma threw her arms around Rebecca in an impulsive hug, Jake felt something shift in his chest. Rebecca stood up, smoothing Emma's hair with a gentle hand, and said something that made Emma nod eagerly. They walked back toward the shop together, Emma practically bouncing with excitement. Dad! Emma burst through the door. Miss Rebecca said I could visit her sometime. She has a cat named Whiskers. That's nice, honey, Jake said, though his eyes were on Rebecca. There was color in her cheeks now, and her smile seemed more genuine than when she had first walked in. I should let you get back to work, Rebecca said. But Jake... really thank you for everything. After she left, Emma was unusually quiet for the rest of the afternoon. She colored in her coloring book and helped Jake organize his tool drawer. But Jake could tell she was thinking about something. Finally, as they were closing up for the day, Emma tugged on his sleeve. Dad, she said, her voice very small, can I tell you a secret? Jake knelt down so they were eye to eye. Of course. Sweetheart, you can tell me anything. Emma glanced around the empty shop, then leaned close to whisper in his ear. Her words were so soft he had to strain to hear them. She feels like Mom used to feel. Please... please marry her. Jake's breath caught in his throat. He pulled back to look at his daughter's earnest face, seeing Sarah's eyes looking back at him. Emma, he said gently. Honey, we just met Miss Rebecca today. I know, Emma said matter-of-factly. But sometimes you just know things, right? Like how you knew I wanted chocolate chip pancakes this morning before I even asked. Jake couldn't argue with 8-year-old logic, especially when it came wrapped in such innocent wisdom. The truth was, he had felt something too, a warmth, a rightness when Rebecca had smiled at Emma, when she had helped with homework, when she had hugged his daughter like she was precious. Tell you what, Jake said, standing up and taking Emma's hand. Why don't we see if Miss Rebecca would like to have dinner with us sometime, as friends, and then we'll see what happens. Emma's face lit up like Christmas morning. Really? Really, Jake said. But Emma, these things take time? We can't rush them. I know, Dad, Emma said, swinging their joined hands as they walked toward the door. But I have a good feeling about this one. As Jake locked up the shop, he found himself hoping that Emma's good feelings were as reliable as her instincts about chocolate chip pancakes. Because for the first time in 3 years he was looking forward to tomorrow in a way that had nothing to do with work. The afternoon sun was setting behind the buildings, painting the street in shades of gold and amber. Somewhere in the distance, he could hear children playing and the sound of families calling each other home for dinner. It was the sound of a neighborhood coming alive. And for the first time since Sarah died, Jake felt like he and Emma might truly be part of it again.